Welcome back. This is Truphena show. We repair broken souls. We have our guest today. We are talking about marriage, and we just want to see whether is marriage workable. And our guest today has stayed in the marriage for the last 36 years, and it has worked on. So, karibu tena.
Asante.
Yeah.
Yes.
So maybe you can tell us about one or two challenges, the big challenges that you encountered in a marriage, that it kind of shook your marriage, but you survived. I don't know whether you have a memory to remember that.
Yes, we've had many such challenges. Let me just quote one which was major, that changed our life. Back in 1987, I was working for a multinational company that time with a fairly good income. But I had the call of God in my life.
Okay.
And I decided to answer the call of ministry and resign from my place of work.
Yeah.
But of course, when I was going to be a pastor, there was no income from the church I was going to pastor. And my wife asked some very hard questions for me to answer. Did you really hear God? I mean, how come I didn't hear? And how are we going to survive as a family? You've been getting a regular salary. Here you're telling me you don't know how we are going to live by faith. I have never lived by faith. How are we going to live? And it was quite a difficult time.
Yeah.
I found it hard to convince my wife because I didn't have rational arguments. But I told her, let's trust God and things will work out. And she resigned herself to what would happen. It was a traumatizing time because we had our children in very good private schools. And they were doing quite well. So when I resigned to be a pastor, the church that I was pastoring didn't have the kind of money that
you are earning from your career.
Yes. And we had to pull our children from the private schools they were attending. And Mama said, you see, I told you. And she was right. I mean, and I said, it may be difficult right now, but I know somehow God is going to work things out. When I left the multinational company I was working for, they gave me my end of service package. So I decided to invest in a bit of farming. So I hired some 2 acres of land. I got a farm manager, bought some very modern equipment that time, and I began doing some farming. And it did so well that I began to pick up on my income. So I was not depending entirely on the church, but I was able to supplement the income with the farm products. So when things were on an even footing, at least we were able to overcome that. But we have always found the best way to handle the crises in our lives is to talk and talk. We don't always agree, but we always trust God to help us.
To agree together.
One positive thing about my wife is that she's agreed to let me be the husband and the head of the family. Once we discuss something and we are not in agreement, I will tell her, okay, Rhoda, as the head of this family, I still think this is the direction. And she will support me. She will say, I don't agree with you, but let's go on.
Okay, I'm getting a very important thing.
Yes.
That somehow in a marriage, because she when she married you, or she was getting married to you, she did it as a person who had a career. That is, a person who had a salary. But something came up at the cost of it. You had to go to pastorhood. But I'm also seeing a very important thing here that every couple out there should do: communication. However challenging it may be, because it is not easy for a wife, for any wife, to accept that her husband will leave work and then they have children, they had a lifestyle, and all of a sudden it will change. But it changed through a lot of communication and a lot of honesty. And I think that has also kept your marriage intact. Communication.
It's true.
It's very important.
That has kept us going.
Okay, and then you overcame that.
We overcame that. I was able to tell her that if we invest this money wisely into the farming project and we are able to get an income, the children can still go and live on the lives they are living, and we shall make it. And by the grace of God, it worked, and we made it.
Now, you have mentioned that you are a pastor,
Yes.
And we know that, especially these days,
yes.
pastors, anything to do with the pastors these days, it is tackled with a lot of sensitivity because of what is happening around. Now, how have you made to overcome all the challenges? Because I'm very sure that you are a pastor of all the genders, the women and men.
Yes.
And you have ever met ladies out there, so many traps and everything.
Yes.
Now, can you tell us, maybe for a young pastor out there, how have you overcome the issue of these challenges that the pastors are getting?
Yes.
In terms of
the opposite sex.
Yeah, the opposite sex.
Well, I'm as healthy as the next man. And I've had my challenges. I think the reason I've been able to overcome is the fact that I truly can say I'm God-fearing.
Okay.
I fear God. One could do it and get away with it, but God knows. And after having seen many of my friends who have tried that, the outcome, I realize it's not worth it.
All right.
We discuss things very openly with my wife. And even when there are relationships that don't look healthy, my wife will just talk to me and tell me, I don't like the way so and so is approaching you. I don't like. And she turns out to be right, by the way. I think men, we are sometimes a bit slow.
But women are sharp.
Yeah, I always tell her you are being jealous. But eventually she feels like she's right. And but I think that what has really kept me from not falling is the fact that I've always prayed to God. And I've told God, I am a man just like the other one. And I'm not made of steel. Keep me from falling. And I believe that God answers prayers. And that's why anytime it looks like it might come, God has made a way out for me to escape from it. And thank God it's not happened yet.
We can also say, according to the way you have explained it, we can also say it's because also of the commitment that you had from the beginning with your wife. Because you see, at one time, as you have told us, you sit down and you let her talk to you. And you tell her, and you listen to her. Well, she seems like she is looking everything from a wise eye. So you seem like you listen to her, and because of that commitment, because you are committed to her, and the fear of God in you, that has worked for you.
It has.
It has worked for
us.
Okay, all right. So what can the advice you can give people out there, young people in marriage, and also the people who are aspiring to get married? So what can you tell them? Is marriage a jail, as they say, as many people say out there?
Marriage is great. It's wonderful. I've enjoyed my marriage. And I think what I would say is what we lack is commitment. I spoke to my wife many years ago when we were getting married. And this is what I told her. You're an adult and I'm an adult. We don't need a third party to help us sort out our problems. I didn't like what I'd seen in the countryside of couples being brought together by some old wazers, and you spill out your dirty linen before some elderly people. Of course, they'll go discussing it in their drinking dens. So I told my wife, whatever we need to sort out. I know what's wrong, you also know. So let's talk and find a solution. And it's worked for us all those years. I think communication and commitment are very important. Whether it's in the area of money, in the area of sex, whether there are third parties, people should talk about it. Come to an agreement and follow up on what they have agreed.
And then it will work.
It will work. I think the biggest problem I have with marriages that are breaking now is one or both parties are not committed to the marriage. And the root cause is selfishness. People want to have things their own way. And the Swahili have a saying, ukiona zinaelea zimeundwa. When you see a good marriage, people have worked for it. And a good marriage needs working.
The issue is work
for it. Yes, it's not easy.
Don't let things come.
Don't let things just...
Because both of you are human beings by the end of the day.
Yes, yeah. And we have to work at it. I have to make sure it works, and my wife also has to make sure it works.
It works.
And when we both make sure that it works, in whatever area, be it sex, we work at it, be it money, we work at it, be it communication, we make sure even when we are very angry, after the anger is over, we talk.
You still work at it.
Yes, yeah.
So the key word is commitment.
Commitment.
You have to make it work.
Yes, yes.
You got committed a long time ago.
Yes,
and you have to
and I'm keeping at it, and until death do us part.
Okay. All right, that is so great.
Yes.
And you have heard everything, and it is true that marriage works. One of the things that we have heard is that every marriage needs a lot of commitment. Every couple, every party, not one of them, they need to be committed. And then people should be very selfless. Don't let your partner look like a victim. It's like he or she is taking care of you. You are doing nothing, to sustain your marriage. So the people out there, if you are in a young marriage, if you are already in a marriage, if you are aspiring to get married, please know that marriage is workable with the two things, commitment and with a lot of communication. Thank you so much for watching us. We hope to see you next time, same hour, same time. This is Truphena Show, where we repair broken souls. Bye.
Amen. Mine has been prepared.